circulating group. Anyway, Mr Blair, keep up the good work. Saturday, October the 5th, 2002. I viewed a loft apartment at the old battery factory, Rat Wharf, today. Mark Bastard, the estate agent, told me that canal-side properties are being snapped up by the buy-to-let crowd. It's in a great location, 5 minutes' walk along the towpath from the bookshop where I work. The loft has one huge room and a bathroom with glass brick walls. When Mark Bastard went for a pee, I could see his blurry outline. So if I buy the apartment, I will ask my mother to run me up some curtains. I stepped out onto the tensile steel and mesh balcony and looked at the view. The canal lay below me, sparkling in the autumn sunshine. A flock of swans glided past, a grey bird flew by, and a narrowboat came into sight under a bridge. When it passed my balcony, a bearded man with a grey straggly ponytail waved and said, "Lovely afternoon." I could see his wife in the bottom of the boat, washing up. She saw me, but did not wave. Mark Bastard had tactfully withdrawn while I soaked up the atmosphere of the place. But now he rejoined me and pointed out several original features: the genuine acid burns in the floorboards, the hooks where the blackout curtains were hung in the wall. I asked him what the scaffold-clad building next door was being turned into. "A hotel, I think," he said. He went on to tell me that Eric Shift, the scrap metal multimillionaire who would own the freehold of my property, had bought up the whole of Rat Wharf and was hoping to transform it into Leicester's equivalent of the Left Bank in Paris. I confessed to Mark that I had always wanted to dabble in watercolours. He nodded and said, "That's nice," but I got the impression that he didn't know what I was talking about. Mark looked around longingly at the stark white wall space and said, "This is the sort of place I'd like to live in, but I've got 3 kids under 5 and the wife wants a garden." I commiserated with him and told him that, until very recently, I was the full-time father of 2 boys, but that the British Army was looking after Glenn, the 17-year-old, and the 9-year-old William had gone to live with his mother in Nigeria. Bastard looked at me enviously and said, "You're young to have your kids off your hands." I told him I was 34 and a half, and that it was time I put myself first for a change. After Bastard pointed out the integral granite cheeseboard in the kitchen worktop, I agreed to buy the apartment. Before we left, I went out on the balcony for one last look. The sun was setting behind the distant multi-storey car park. A fox walked along the opposite towpath with a Tesco's carrier bag in its mouth. A brown creature, a water vole, I think, slipped into the canal and swam out of sight. The swans floated majestically by. The biggest swan looked me straight in the eye, as if to say, "Welcome to your new home, Adrian." 10 p.m. I went into the kitchen, turned the volume down on the radio, and informed my parents that I would be moving out of their spare room and into a loft apartment in the old battery factory on Rat Wharf in Leicester at the earliest opportunity. My mother could not hide her delight at this news. My father sneered. "The old battery factory? Your granddad worked there once, but he had to leave after a rat bite turned septic. We thought he'd have to have his leg off." My mother said, "Rat Wharf? Isn't that where the Rough Sleepers Hostel is opening next year?" I said, "You've been misinformed. The whole area is being transformed into Leicester's cultural quarter." When I asked my mother if she would run me up some curtains for the glass brick lavatory, she said sarcastically, "Sorry, but I think you're confusing me with somebody who keeps a needle and thread in the house." At 7 o'clock, my father turned the sound up on the radio and we listened to the news. Britain's military chiefs were demanding to know what their role would be if Britain goes to war with Iraq. Share prices had fallen again. My father banged his head on the table and said, "I'll kill that bastard financial advisor who talked me into putting my pension into Equitable Life." When the Archers theme tune played, my parents reached for their cigarettes, lit up, and sat listening to the agricultural soap opera with their mouths slightly open. They are doing things together in yet another attempt to save their marriage. My mother and father are elderly baby boomers of 59 and 62 respectively. I keep waiting.